Here we go on three, two, one. Welcome everyone to another Treehouse Trade School members call. We're here in Jenny and I are in New York City, sitting outside of the Oculus. And it's an amazing place to go visit. Very inspiring if you want to do anything. But you know, we come from as a trade school. I come from small trades, residential, stick building houses and doing farming. And this is so far from it. It's so inspiring to be here. And I saw like a couple of 2x10s in the city, and they were like holding this like blocks underneath the scaffold. That was it. Like everything else is concrete and steel, buddy. So if you're unaware, we have a membership, Treehouse Trade School online membership, where we are creating essentially the Netflix for resilience training. We want to make learning the trades very simple, step by step. We call it the magic formula to help you master the trades, and not just construction, metal fabrication, and permaculture, which is where it all started, but we have 7 layers of resilience. And those are ecology, energy, economy, community, governance, sustenance, and construction. And I'm a 3rd-generation builder and teacher, so I've been doing a lot of construction, metal fabrication, and permaculture design. But right now we're working on what we call the taproot of Treehouse Trade School curriculum. If you imagine the tree, that's our logo. That is a tree scout. What we're creating are the roots of that tree, which is the curriculum. And currently we're working on that taproot, which is the community. And you, my friend, are at the base of that community taproot. That is all things that make a healthy you, a healthy person. And so we've been developing our health and wellness curriculum. I'd like to welcome Connor Rogers doing human design. And I'm going to let Virginia and Cleveland do his introduction and take it from here. So thank you all for being here, and welcome, Mr. Connor.
Yeah, we are so excited to welcome Leo into this coaching call this week because he shares one of our core values. He is a leader at the Wisdom Exchange, and he believes that the best teachers remain students for life, which is one of our core tenets at Treehouse Trade School, being a student for life. And today he's going to be talking to us about relational ecology and human design secret formula. We'll be starting with the relationship to our communities. We'll follow up with our one-on-one relationships, and then we'll follow it up with our relationships with ourselves. And so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll jump right into it. Yeah, again, my name's Connor. I also go by Leo. I've been a teacher and I've worked with kids for most of my life. I've traveled all over the world doing that. So yeah, just in that spirit, remaining a student of life has been one of my greatest mottos, I think, that I keep close to me. But now I know you all got sent the outline that shows I had it listed as the 2 slices of bread are the community and the relationship to self, and then the meat of the sandwich is the one-on-one relationship. And this is kind of reflective of the saying that we are the universe experiencing itself. You know, that kind of very profound experience that you get when you do things like eye gazing or just very intense eye contact when you're, sharing an intimate space with anybody, right? Anytime the fullness of your human experience is brought to bear. So that's actually more so where we'll be ending, but we are kind of going to jump around a little bit. We're going to go out of order making this sandwich, but we're going to get at least a couple of slices of bread first. So I'm going to share my screen, and mayo, ketchup, mustard, whatever you'd like. Just kidding. So we're going to start with, I think the best place to start is, since we're talking about the Treehouse Trade School and what I've seen in just a couple of brief visits and a few conversations with Scott, the beauty of what Seneca and that location does is creating the community, right? I have my couple of answers that I brought ahead of time, but I'd love to build this out together. So the question here with the community slice of bread is, what is it that an authentic, loving, holistic, I love the word that you use, Scott, resilient community can provide me, right? So I have here that, robust community structure opens byways for every member to have their needs met. And when I say needs met, I'm thinking like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, shelter, if, there's a number of locations growing food, they can move food around and make sure members of the community have their needs met. Kind of like village style, but, in this modern world, it's a bit more spread out. And then we'll actually, we'll go ahead into this one too, because there's a feature, actually 5 features of every region in the world where people live beyond 100 happy and healthy. And, anybody who doesn't want to live beyond 100 happy and healthy, live your life how you'd like to, but I kind of get the impression with the sustainability. Wolfie, would you mind muting yourself?
Sorry, dude.
Sorry. Yeah, you're good. You're good. So those 5 criteria of those blue zones, and Scott, I'm sure you're familiar with this to some extent, and some of you might be, but the 5 features of the blue zone criterias are integrated exercise daily, which if you're, woofing or, working for stay at a place at any one of, the treehouse locations, because from what I heard, I think there's multiple now, or with anybody, right? You have that integrated exercise when you're out there, harvesting fruits, planting seeds, building entire structures, for shelter for yourself or somebody else. But integrated exercise daily, I'm going to also put yoga is a great one for that. Just movement, places in like China where they'd have Tai Chi, those people live very long and healthy and happy lives. The other one is clean conscience eating. Obviously quality of food, you know exactly what you're eating, additives in grocery stores, preservatives, glyphosate, whatever. There's all sorts of buzzwords that you can go through where it's like, yeah, I'm not sure I want to put that in my body, right? You grow it yourself, you harvest it yourself, you've already checked 2 of those things off your box or off your list. And then the other one is the most focal one, at least for this conversation, is the shared vision and purpose, right? A shared set of goals, and outlook on life where it's not necessarily that you all agree with each other in the realm of opinions, but it's more so like, what do you want your life to look like, and what do your fellow community members want your life to look like? And here I know we want it to look holistic, sustainable, and resilient, right? So also there's another bonus one, a little bit of red wine daily. Is another one of the features of blue zones, but that can be, at least with, House Jubilee, and I know I see Joe on the call, we kind of substitute that with kombucha, still good probiotics, all of these things. And this is all very well within the realm of what I've seen at Treehouse Trade School. It's, the material needs being met. But that is important, right? Because if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the bottom of that pyramid, and I could even pull up an image. Right, physiological needs, air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothes, that's all the very material world. And that's necessary if you want to get to this self-actualization, right? To constantly bettering yourself, learning, remaining a student of life, so that you can, in turn, go back and put it back into your community, and everything only gets better. Everybody's happy and healthy, and that brings us to where I'm actually going to jump to next, which is the relationship with self. So once those needs are met, right? The physiological needs, you have a shared sense of vision, there's safety, you know, and that provides you the room to self-actualize or individuate. So we have relationship with community and now relationship with self too. So in this is kind of where the wisdom exchange operates for the most part, at least as a coaching organization, is building the non-physical resilience. You know, so here again, my focus is on the relationship with self. And in this piece is where the secret formula piece comes in. And just like give a little wave or something if you've heard of human design. I know some of you have probably heard me talk about it before as well. But this system provides the answer to the question of, you know, how do I know I'm doing it right in that feedback loop with supporting the community? You know, what does an authentic, loving, and holistic me or I give to the community? So those two slices of bread are the bread or the foundation for that reason. Because, you know, if you're part of a community and you're not sure what to do or how, or, you know, are you doing it right? Are you doing the right thing? You know, purpose, life's work, all these words, have, well, I mean, answers in the human design system. So we can jump into that in just a second and look at what that actually is. And, you know, if you're familiar with it, then it might be a little bit of old news. But once you have those two slices of bread, this is where the real magic happens, in this relational ecology model, right? So in one-on-one relationships, right? Which this is why I love, you know, podcasting and, you know, just holding sacred space one-on-one, you know, if somebody needs something, right? Just to express, let it out so they're not, you know, like, and vice versa too. People can provide that for you. You know, if somebody comes to you asking for help, and this is in the spirit of remaining a student of life, then you can teach them based on your experience, you know, something that might help them out. And in that process, you also get something out of that interaction, where, you know, you might have a new moment of clarity in that conversation, or they might say something that you've never thought of before, even though you're the one who's, you know, lending a helping hand, right? It's not inherently hierarchical, again, understanding this kind of feedback loop. So there's two of those, self and community, and then between the two individuals in this one-on-one relationship, right? Sacred relationship. Again, in the spirit of we are the universe, we are God experiencing itself or himself or herself, you know? And in this, the most, I think, accurate, like energetic descriptor word here is karma. Every interaction that you have with somebody is inherently going to be wrapped up in karma. And this, you know, people say, I don't know if I can say this, but, you know, karma's a bitch, right? But that's not necessarily the case. It's just an energetic expression, right? So when I say karma, it's not always a negative thing, right? But there's an energetic transfer that happens. So when you have your relationship with your community that you can go run back and say, oh, so-and-so said this in this conversation, you have the shared vision and support where you can, you know, I would say foster that, you know, sense of resilience, but you're also clear on who you are, right? And this goes beyond the realm of opinions. This goes, you know, even beyond the realm of beliefs. These things just, you know, that energy exchange is always there. So awareness of this, I like this one a little bit, this little bit right here. Awareness of this puts the tools of creation in your hands, right? So you're very consciously engaging in every energetic exchange that you have. And this actually came up today. I'll drop it right here too. This is a great place for it. Is the first step into integrity is being radically honest with yourself. so that you can continue to be radically honest with yourself in different contexts, right? Where there's different beliefs. And this is the beauty here too, is that, again, remaining a student of life, believing in people's experiences is huge, doubting people just for the sake of doubting them, right? There's not a whole lot of integrity in that, right? Like typically that's an expression of things like jealousy or, whatever it may be, right? And being radically honest with yourself in those moments so that you can still learn, especially if you disagree with somebody. But again, this goes well beyond the realm of opinion. The belief is obviously very important. And then I'll get to this because this is something worth sharing, I think, in this moment, because what I'm talking about here is true empathy. That's the magic of the one-on-one energetic awareness in your relationships. And this comes from the Gene Keys, which is, it was developed alongside human design. It uses a lot of the same principles and ideas, but this is just a breakdown of the definition of empathy. When you break it down into a couple of pieces. And I'll type this up too and share this out, but for now I'm just going to read it. So these days, most people use the word empathy without grasping its deeper connotations. As a fairly modern word, it's almost always confused with sympathy, which is a much older word coined by Aristotle. In the language of the Gene Keys, empathy represents a heavenly vibration and as such is not to be grasped by the mind, because true empathy has nothing whatsoever to do with the mind. The prefix em means within, whereas the prefix sym, sym, as in sympathy, means with. So within versus with. Whereas sympathy means to feel with another person, empathy means to feel inside that person. Most people cannot conceive of being inside another person, so the term has come to be seen as metaphorical and is generally understood as being mental or emotional projections onto or into another person. Empathy requires complete dissolution of the individuated self, right? So in this instance, in one-on-one interactions where empathy is the magic present, if you have not cultivated and fostered that resilient relationship with self, which is individuated, self-actualized, purpose-driven, then you don't know what you're dissolving in this. And I'll reread that again. Empathy requires the complete dissolution of the individuated self. So you got to know what that individuated self is. Once identification with one's form has been cut, empathy reveals itself as the background awareness of all living forms. In other words, we really are inside each other. We are the universe and God experiencing itself. Whereas sympathy requires two, empathy demands one. So again, this is just kind of the central, magic that we're getting at here. This is why this is the meat. And now again, I'll run it back though to this relationship with self, because this is where the wisdom exchange focuses right now. This is where the wisdom exchange actually happens. But when it comes to human design, other systems, I've encountered mystical systems of, understanding the world and God and the universe, whatever you want to call it. It's beyond words. Christian mysticism, Buddhism, Taoism, like all of these systems essentially account for and allow room for the tools that you have at your disposal in human design. So we can, at least as an introduction, we'll call it Human Design 101. If there's any volunteers who want to step up and at least you can chat me, but I would just need and we can use mine too. I don't mind if nobody wants to, volunteer, but in order to look at your specific, individuated self in the system of human design, I do need birth date information and such. So I don't know how we want to necessarily go about that, but that'd be fun.
I'll volunteer if nobody wants to.
Okay. I appreciate that. I knew you would. I want to see if we can give somebody else an opportunity too.
Yeah.
because you and I will have plenty more conversation.
Come on, don't be scared. Oh look,
Yeah, seriously, if anybody's curious, we can run it. All right, Virginia, cool. I'll take it.
just make sure you give your credit card information too, along with your birthday and all that.
Yeah. I do need your social too to run these charts. So, yeah. But you can just chat that to me personally, and we'll be good. So, I'm not sure. I mean, you can send this to me individually if you don't want to just like leave it out in the chat and stuff. But I do also need the time as accurately as you can get it, and the city that you were born in. Amazing. Oh, well, happy early birthday, by the way. Y'all can still see my screen? Yeah? Okay, cool. It's been a little while since I've done this. But yeah, let's pop over to another site. This one's mine. But again, it'll be more interesting if I'm looking at it fresh too. Because I'm very familiar with my design. So, what name shall I put down? Shall I put Virginia, or do you prefer
Virginia?
Okay. So we've got, oh boy, I gotta make sure I can see the chat though. Okay. Oops. All right. 1986. October 14th. I imagine somebody's doing the math to figure out how old you're going to be on your birthday. I can only do so many things at once, though.
I'll be 39.
Nice.
My last
Just
year in my
answered.
30s.
Nice. Listen, 40 is the new 30, especially when you live your life like all the rest of us here do, or strive to, at least, right?
I certainly still feel 25.
Hey, yes, we take that. We take those.
That's why we don't ask a lady her age.
Yeah. Listen, I wasn't asking how old she was, but I did need the rest of those.
I did.
I am not embarrassed of my age at all.
Good. I don't ever want anybody to feel embarrassed by their age. Okay. Virginia, you ready? Everybody else, you ready? Yeah.
Yep.
Thumbs up or a wave or a high or a amazing. Okay, cool. Because this is I'll take it. So yeah, this is the relationship with self. Okay, so Virginia, you're about to come to understand your mechanics pretty well. This is the type of thing that we get into, at least in coaching sessions with yours truly, is systems like human design and astrology, and how closely can you zoom in. So for you, well, we'll just look at it for a second, and I'll give you the bones of it. So give me another wave if you know what the chakras are, like the Hindu chakras, like Kundalini type thing, or somewhere in the middle. Okay, so we've got some of that. All right, so that's wrapped up in this. Each of these, and everybody can still see it, the body graph that's showing up. Great. So these centers right here, you can think of them as energy centers, just like chakras. So traditionally, and this is in, yoga and Kundalini and all of these things, you have the root chakra, which is down here at the bottom. You have the sacral chakra, which is right here. It's just below the navel, physiologically. You have the solar plexus, which is like sternum or below the sternum traditionally. The heart, very obviously placed. Which sometimes these two are kind of both basically that energy center. Then you obviously got the throat. You got your yapper, your divine yapper. You've got your third eye, and then you've got your crown, which is at the top of your head. And traditionally, that energy center extends beyond your physical form and essentially encompasses your oneness with the divine. But now, this has 9 energy centers, so there's more. This one right here is the spleen. Spleen's very concerned with survival. Most of the animal kingdom operates from a place of what you would call a splenic authority. And authority is just where in your body do you get your yeses. And this is part of the secret formula or magic formula. I was trying to match your verbiage on that one, Scott, because I just love it so much. But yeah, that's one of the things in the human design secret formula, is understanding your authority. So for example, with Virginia, and you see all of these are colored in, so that basically means the lights are on in those energy centers in your body. You always have them. That's the masculine expression, okay, masculine expressiveness. And then the ones that are not colored in are essentially feminine receptiveness. So that's where you're receptive to people's energies outside of you. But these, you're always essentially going to have like a little drum beat going in those energy centers that you can like check in with. So for Virginia, she has this sacral authority. Now this sacral authority is one that you typically will get your answer within the first 3 seconds. It's what has been colloquially talked about as like the gut response, because you literally feel it in your gut. That's where your sacrum is. So if you have the sacral authority, then that's where you get the answers, that when you say yes to things, it will serve your higher purpose. And the practice is, at least to start out with this, is to decondition yourself from energy that is not yours, right? So that you can hear those heck yes or heck no. It's very obvious green lights that you get with a sacral authority. And again, you'll get it in the first 2 or 3 seconds. Sometimes it's a good idea to still say, wait. But the sacrum is also essentially endless creative energy, as long as you're acting in alignment with your calling or purpose. Or so I also have this sacral authority, and for example, like if I'm doing a garden, I will almost always have energy. Or if I'm working outside, even doing invasives removal, because I work in permaculture, very physical jobs. And I love it though, I'm serving the environment, and I know my body's healthy because of it. But as long as it's right, yeah. See, so you probably live a pretty active life, a pretty active and creative life, and you've always got it. Like people with that sacral authority typically have the ability to dig deep and do the thing. If you're doing the right thing for you, you'll have energy for it for hours. And that's not the case with everybody. Right. And this is where the deconditioning comes in. So if you don't have such an authority, and we could look, any one of these energy centers could be defined in any different person, and it's going to radically change how they approach life. But somebody who does not have a sacral authority is not going to be designed for hours of manual labor. Right. And that's a different aura type. So Virginia here is a generator. But if a projector or a manifester who doesn't have that, is expected to do 8 hours of manual labor a day, they're not going to thrive. They're not going to do well. They might, for 3 hours or so, 3 or 4 hours, but beyond that, it's not going to be serving of their highest good, quite the same as it would be for you or I, Virginia. So this is what I would call Human Design 101, and a great time to open up any questions. Again, I offer one-on-one coaching calls where we can dig deeper into, the other parts of the secret formula when it comes to, I like video games, so I use video game terminology for upgrading your life and min-maxing, as it were, focusing on your strengths, and just upgrading your life all around, whether you're already happy where you're at, or, there's obvious things that you want to change. This secret formula is a great way to upgrade it. So, but yeah, questions, like Human Design 101 questions. I'm open to them.
I have a question. You said something about projector versus generator. What do you mean by that?
So, let's see. Well, I know there's a couple of projectors in this call, so with their consent, I can show you. And we can actually look at a chart of a different aura type. But that's basically what it is, though. Yeah, Wolfie or Joseph, if you'd be willing to drop your info, either one of yours, that'd be great, and we can look at y'all's. I appreciate it.
You want? I'll tell you mine real quick.
Oh, okay, let me go back and answer then real quick. Okay, so this is Wolfie. All right, what you got, bud?
That was 1987, way back, you know. January 21, and that was 7:20
In the morning?
in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in a little town in Pennsylvania. Don't be fooled by the name. The name of this town is Jersey Shore, but there's no shore and there's no Jersey there.
Listen, you never struck me as a Jersey Shore type of guy.
Yeah, never in a million freaking years, my friend. Jersey Shore. I've never seen a single episode of Jersey Shore all the way through, but I just know that's not quite the vibe.
I imagine it's quite different. Okay, so the energy types, Virginia, to answer your question. So if you look here, Wolfie is a projector, by the way. So he does not have this sacral definition like you and I do. And to just explain a bit about what projector, generator, manifestor all mean, is it's called your aura type. So generators, because we have that sacral energy center defined, we walk around with that creative life force energy, which is represented by the sun, right? So we're warm, people are drawn to generators. It's called an attractive aura. So, we do our work, we do what we love, we do what serves our highest good. And when we act in that alignment, then we attract new opportunities to respond to. So with Wolfie here, who's a projector, projector is just a different aura type. Where the generator is an attractive aura type, the projector is a focused or penetrating aura type. So projectors are in fact very, very powerful in those one-on-one relationships, right? That empathy, that being within the other person is something that they kind of always do. And what projectors are very unique. It's a remarkably small percentage of the human population that are projectors, but generators, that's like 70% or 60% of the human population. So the majority of us are designed to work, in the sense that work is a unit of measure in physics. I'm not talking like jobby job stuff or anything like that, but literal calories burned. And now, that's not that Wolfie's not necessarily designed for that, but he's going to be better suited in other types of roles when it comes to community context, when it comes to life's work and purpose. And I know you see it says life purpose and soul purpose. But yeah, it goes a little bit deeper than that too. So does that answer your question? There's oh, sorry, one more. I'll speak to manifestors as well, because manifestors are another type of design that does not have this sacral definition, and their aura is called a repelling aura. And the manifestor is all about having that defined throat center and lacking the defined sacral center. And their aura is called repelling. Essentially, the manifestor's aura says, stay out of my way, I have things to do. Because the throat is the manifestation vehicle, right? You can think mantras, you can think prayers, you can think intentions, whether solitary or, in a congregation, in a mass or an ashram or any of those places. Same mechanism, right? So those are the three primary aura types. Generators are attractive, manifestors are repellent, and then projectors are focused and penetrating. And then there's another one too, that's reflectors. And reflectors are sampling auras, but that's 1% of the human population, if you would believe it. 1%. But so yeah, does that answer your question? Does that resonate with you? I feel like as a land steward, living your life and doing the things that you love in that realm has probably been what attracts those opportunities. But yeah, any other questions and about human design or the relational ecology model?
So is there more to it than that?
Much.
Is there
Get some ginger tomato put in.
is there more to it than what we're seeing right here? Because when I think I've done the gene keys. Now you said this is your personal website, right?
No, this is not my website. I'm using somebody else. This is just free chart
Okay.
rundown.
So
Yeah.
you can read into it more than that, right? Like aren't there other pages to read beyond this?
Oh yeah, I mean, theoretically, yes. And this is kind of the rundown of parts of that secret formula when it comes to where to look for upgrading your life. But it's that specifically, at least when it comes to that, little vial of magic formula. It's a combination of the gene keys understanding of it and the human design understanding of it. So it's both.
Hey, Connor, can you go left on your screen just a tiny bit?
Left.
I can't see the left side of the screen.
Oh, it's because I have Zoom open as well. I can just maximize.
Oh, okay.
Is that better?
It might be on my end. It was my end. My apologies, sir.
Well, it's okay. You sure?
Yeah, 1000%.
Okay.
Got it now. No, I was zoomed in. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, yeah, listen.
I
And
gotta
that's the
say,
thing.
I don't quite get it my own damn self. I'll say this tiny little bit about my experience of life after 38 and a half fairly long years. It seems like I'll get just like distracted by a thing and then want to focus in on it so extremely that the experts will be confused by the time I'm done.
So I'm hearing a question, I'm feeling a question, and I'm gonna respond in kind, because that distractedness, right? Like we could put that akin to ADHD, or you can call it whatever you want, right? Like I identify with that too. Like I will absolutely like hyperfixate on something and just like absolutely,
That's a fair point.
yeah, and absolutely
I
just like
do
angle it for the sake of
absolutely
understanding.
quantifiably have ADHD. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So
But what I know about you and your design is that's an intense ability to live in the present, which is something that is defined by your spleen definition. That's your authority. It says it right down here. Inner authority, splenic, and the splenic authority is very centered in the now. It's very now based. It's very survival based. So that plus your first line, and I'll run it back and catch people up who might not be keeping up. But the first line is the investigator, right? So you're very now based. If something grabs your attention and your splenic authority is telling you investigate, like your first line wants to, like your investigator wants to, then you're gonna do it, and it's gonna be serving of your highest good.
yeah.
I also know you, so like I know you quite well, but
Yeah, you do. Thank you, by the way, for that. Most recently, and this is a bit of a like funny little bit, and then I'll shut up finally. But I wanted to investigate whether putting a light seasoning on your cast iron was really important. So I put a heavy seasoning on all of my cast iron pans, and it turned out very badly. Please don't put a heavy seasoning on your cast iron.
Well, see,
that is all.
and this is the beauty of what that first line, the investigator, does, is you find these things out so other people don't have to.
Exactly.
Like people, if you're acting in your highest good and you share these, people are gonna understand what you're saying and believe you, right? It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Even somebody who doesn't know anything. So
Yeah, fair. Okay.
that's a great
I can, yeah.
I love it.
And that is it's all part of the magic formula, you know. It takes like little bits of knowledge from each person, and Andrea said that she heavily that she heavily seasons her cast iron. So, you know, maybe there's a formula to that, right? That we need to figure out, how does it work? Because it works for somebody, so it doesn't work for somebody else. So that's all part of the idea, is to figure out best practices. That's awesome.
Oh, well, that's what I'm about. It certainly seems like the move.
Hey,
Yeah.
so
Anyway, thank you guys so much.
yeah, man. Connor, can you tell us more about the gene keys, like the origin and how it came to be? Do you know much about that?
Yes, I do. So the Alan Krakow is the guy's name by birth, but he goes by Ra. He's since passed, but he had essentially a like 3 days and 3 nights type of moment where he synthesized prompted by his relationship with, I mean, I could say nothing other than the divine and God, to synthesize all of the systems that kind of inform like the major mapping, the major like spiritual mapping systems, from the I Ching to Jewish mysticism and the Kabbalah to the Hindu chakra system. So like all of those sort of like ideas from, years back. We don't know when the I Ching was written, or realistically who actually wrote it. Like Lao Tzu, like, is one of those figures who debatably existed even. And the Tao or the I Ching is even older. So it's a synthesis of all of those things, and you see them shine through in moments. For example, those line profiles that I was talking about, those come from the I Ching. If you've seen the Bagua circles with the 6 lines on top of each other, so one of them will be broken, or every other one will be broken in the middle with like a space. That's where the line profiles come from. So the first line is the investigator, second is hermit, third is martyr, fourth is opportunist, fifth is heretic, and sixth is role model. And those are like modern understandings of like what was being communicated in the I Ching, like the OG book, for example, and in that realm of mysticism. So yeah, Ra, as he's known, essentially synthesized all of those, like all of them, like Jewish mysticism, Taoism, Hinduism. I feel like I'm missing one. I feel like there's another. Oh, and astrology. Yes, and astrology. All of those
All
are
right.
all of those are synthesized into one system. And it turns out like they all support each other. So like that's the beauty of this, and kind of one of the things that attracts me to it so much, is that it embraces the truth that comes from all of these different sources that might disagree on things, into a place of personalized truth, as it were. I see a thing in the chat. One second. How did you go from missionary? Okay, so how did you go from missionary for the Methodist and Lutheran churches to observing the divine in astrology, Taoism, Buddhism, and Christian mysticism? My short answer is travel. Yep, that's basically my short answer. Is in my travels, I found that I got the most richness and value out of my experiences when I embraced that student of life, empathy means one, and connecting with people, and that means walking around in their shoes. So I mean, I've been to India and practiced, yoga there, and studied, Hinduism somewhat as a religion. I took world religion courses in my undergrad as well. So yeah, it's been a long journey. It's involved a lot of travels, a lot of very real human experience, and also investigating. I've gone from calling myself a Christian to calling myself a Taoist to calling myself a Buddhist to calling, all of these, an omnist, somebody who sees the truth in everything and all of them, right? But yeah, that's why it's such a long list. It's all of the above. It's not an either or, it's a yes and. In this type of conversation for me, and that's been a long road. It's only just recently that I've found or reconnected with my relationship with Jesus, because I would say in my, and this is personal story, but in my experience growing up in churches, and I went to a lot of different churches. I went to the youth groups, and I just love the community of it. Right, which is why I love that community relationship to community little slice of bread. But I just didn't speak to it quite so much because Seneca Treehouse kind of checks all of those boxes pretty well already, and I know y'all understand that piece. But even then, it was the social aspect for me. I felt God's presence, like I would get the goosebumps, in moments of just like singing my heart out, in church, or like the music, because I was a praise band director. But as far as like a relationship with Jesus goes, that's recent for me. That reverse dogmatic type of outlook on life was one that lasted probably 6 to 7 years. But like, I love Jesus. I have a very close relationship with him, and I truly believe that he died so that I don't have to. And that's something that just absolutely melts me at the knees, when I really think about the power of that statement. So yeah, does that answer your question? How did I get here?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Thank you. It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
thank you. Yeah, I have a million stories. And that's again why I love the wisdom exchange piece, is everybody's got a story, and there's wisdom to be shared in everybody's experience. I mean, I'll do one quick one, and this is a personal travel story. But I met the Dalai Lama. I traveled to Tibet. I went to the Potala Palace. He's exiled from Tibet. And then I met him in India. So I have these beads. It's a mala. I mean, you can very colloquially call it like a Tibetan rosary, where it's like, it's for counting mantras and prayers. It's just, prayer beads, but made out of sandalwood. Got them in Tibet. I really love them. They're very sentimental to me, because when I was in India and I met the man, I held them out for him to bless them. And, he looked at me and said, "Thank you for being here." But the interesting piece about this is, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And let me tell you, he's a very holy man. Like, his lecture was a marriage of metaphysics and, traditional Tibetan spirituality and Western religion. But on the road down the mountain to his lecture, I came across a man who I had encountered before, and this was in India. He was a man who you'd find him, what we would call panhandling next to cafes and things, just asking for a chai. He would just ask for a chai in a conversation, and he was so kind. But you could tell that he didn't have very much, and the Indian caste system is still very much a thing. But on the road down to the Dalai Lama's headquarters, where I was going to go to that lecture, he came and he found me on the road. And he was walking around with 6 to 10 bracelets that he made. And I am currently wearing it. Tiny little thing, right? But beautiful colors. And well made too. And he said, I made one of these for every one of my favorite people in this area right now. And he was like, and I would love for you to stop by and see my house. And I was on my way to go see His Holiness the Dalai Lama speak. And his house was a shack with a tin roof, and what, could hardly be called a cot, and a kettle on a, hot plate, that he didn't always run. Like his home was smaller than the room that I'm in now. Like the ceiling was about 5.5 feet tall. And going to meet His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I felt like I had met the holiest of holies through this man who's a cobbler, right? And cobblers, people who work with shoes at the bottom of somebody's body, or the bottom of the caste system. So impoverished in material, maybe, but vast divine wealth in that person. So, and that was the same day. It was the same day I met the Dalai Lama, and where was the holiness in both of those instances? But it was that one that really struck me, so,
That's a beautiful story.
yeah.
Very
Yeah,
powerful.
I wanted to pull this back up just to have up, but then I started telling the story. But
So we've been we're closing in on the hour. Want to
yeah,
for everyone's time, but if you were to so this is all fascinating. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question about the wisdom exchange
yeah.
and the services that you offer there. Could you elaborate more on that?
So the wisdom exchange, at least as far as I operate within it, is life coaching. And I work with a number of other coaches as well. There's coaching for grief. We have a grief coach and a death doula coach in our or that we work with too. But me specifically though, as the wisdom exchange, it's life coaching where we can look at your magic formula in either astrology or human design or both, to get a really in-depth understanding of life's work, purpose, and yeah, it's a partnership in coaching you to a point where you see results and change in your life using human design and astrology. And that's my specific niche. But again, yeah, there's others. There's health and nutrition coaches that are kind of loosely associated with the wisdom exchange as well. But that's kind of the core of it, is life coaching.
Are
And
there some, sorry, go ahead.
no, that was it. Yeah, but catered to your individuality, of course,
Are there some next courses or some like simple courses in that realm where you could that we could put on the membership that would be just to help people get started with understanding this and understanding life coaching and taking the next steps, and then they could from there be directed to you?
Yeah. Are you talking about doing another one of these specifically?
Kind of like this, but these calls are really just to introduce the new instructors really, and then from there break it down into individual classes that are not so much of a group call, but a video, like so when we say the magic formula, just like the gene keys is how he's taken all of those different modalities and put them into one thing that simplifies it with just a couple questions and gives you some results. That's the kind of thing we want to try to do with the classes too, is make like a for instance, this just comes to mind, like if you want to do life coaching, where would you start? And then like having a video that someone could watch that would say, here are the things that we need to look at first, steps 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to look at these things, and you got to ask these questions or whatever, take these tests, or, the gene keys is one of them. That's, we start with that. And then step 2 is this. And so it makes it into like a easy step-by-step program to go from, I have no clue whatsoever, to I've got clarity and I know where I'm going.
Experience, yeah, and confidence. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Scott, listen, I have all of those built out, right? I have, a little magic formula in a bottle from, using the human design system in that language. And then another one that's, separate, but also related, because astrology is wrapped up in human design. It's just the language that's wrapped around it. And I studied English, so I'm a big, words guy. So also I apologize if I go too fast. But yeah, I have them. I have them. Like tell me when to jump and where, and let me know what we
Awesome.
can do. Yeah, I'm ready for it.
All
Whatever.
right. Yeah, well, let's give Mr. Connor Rogers some snaps, some claps, a big round of applause for showing up with that. That's very fascinating. And
I will drop my email in the chat if you're interested in learning more too about the Wisdom Exchange, or what I as an individual do as well. Because again, my one of my favorite and most comfortable slices of bread in this sandwich is the community one. So, I'm totally here for y'all, and I'm excited to get to know all of the rest of you too. I'm looking forward to being more involved. But here we go. My email, feel free to reach out to me there.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, yeah, and also when we make this video, make sure you drop. Well, that'll show up in the video, but we'll put his information on the title and the description. And this will be available on YouTube, Treehouse Trade School on YouTube. If you're not following, go ahead and subscribe. We just put two video recordings that, very slim opportunity. I paid a couple $1,000s to come and take these classes, and we recorded it and dropped it on YouTube. And those are one of the two is already available. Optimizing some social media and being able to reach more people with your message, which is important in today's world. So all of our members' calls and guest speakers are on there as well. So thank you all. Thank you, Connor. We are going to go. Jenny owes me dessert because she lost a bet. So I'm going to go get some free dessert here. But hey, before we go, there's two things. One, if you don't know, we have a monthly in-person event for Treehouse Trade School for all the tree scouts every first Saturday of the month. So if you are a tree scout already, you should get a notification. If you're not, you can get a membership. And if you become an instructor, you get a free membership. So we also welcome Connor as a new tree scout too for today's call. So
Honor and pleasure, truly. I'm so excited.
our next event is actually going to be at someone else's homestead. We're going to go in and do a little bit of a permablitz, which is like where you show up and you help somebody permaculture their property. So we're going to be showing up. It's one of the ladies in our small group at church. So we're going to be showing up to her place first weekend in November. We'll send out all the details for that. Another announcement, we are doing a permaculture design certification course at the church. We go to a church, and it's Alive Wesleyan. It's in the central campus. And we go to this church. I've been going there for like 13 years or so. And new pastor, he's excited about our small group. Back to Eden is what it's called. And so he asked us if we could go ahead and start planting stuff. He's already approved us to get like $1,000 worth of cover crops. It's a 44-acre parcel. And I took the drone up, and I flew the drone up and took a picture of the property, and the property is shaped like a heart.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was cool.
So we'll be doing a permaculture design certification course for tree scouts. It'll be accessible on the membership. Also, if you are a member, if you don't not a member of Tree Scouts, but you are a member of the small group, you can join that class in person. You just won't have access to the online training. And I feel like there was one other announcement I wanted to say too. I looked at my calendar a second ago. Next week's, hold on, I'm gonna disappear for a second. Next week's member or Tree Scout coaching call. Who's talking? Where are we going to be? Let's figure it out. Sunday. Oops, I'm way too far ahead. November. Oh, is that it? No, not the 6th. October. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Thank you. Let me come back. All right. Next week, next
Hey,
Thursday.
Scott. It's Angela Delaney,
Thank you.
Firesider.
Always ask Virginia to just do it.
Angela
Next,
Delaney will be talking about making fire cider, which is a tremendous immune boosting serum that you can make from fresh ingredients from your garden or the grocery store. And she'll be teaching everyone how to make it from scratch, which will be delightful. She's a wonderful person and look forward to that as well.
Yeah, good medicine for the winter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, and just so y'all know, the whenever we have members or new guest speakers, we're making these accessible to the public. So I usually try to post something a little bit sooner, like a day in advance, but we're trying to make them accessible. Eventually, maybe we'll do members only for these, but right now we're just trying to expand the membership and get the word out there. And we're also looking for testimonials too. If you guys are a member and want to share a testimony, it would really help us get the word out. So we're just trying to make it easy and accessible to people all around the world so that we can solve some of the world's greatest problems with some of the simplest solutions. So love you all so much. Everybody unmute your mic and say good night. We love you.
Right.
Thank you, Leo. You definitely,
Night.
with your reading, like illuminated some things about myself I've known in my gut for a long time, but hearing it put into words was revolutionary, and I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. I love to hear it. I'd never grow tired of hearing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I enjoy it.
All right. God bless you all. Have
God
a
bless.
good
God
night.
bless you guys.
Thank you all.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.